Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I found this video today, and this video is pretty vile in certain ways, and I'll go into why I think it's so vile. And it's like this anti. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say I'm not a racist. I actually, if people knew about my upbringing, or not my upbringing, my background ancestrally, I'd be killed by the Nazis. First of all, because I'm part Jewish. I identify with some of that, like that heritage. The matrilineal line of that. By blood, I like to drink blood, and children. I'm just kidding, fucking around. I'm a reptilian. I'm just making a joke. By the way, I don't think that David Icke is necessarily an anti-Semite. I think it tangentially, you could call him that. It's a certain extent in some kind of reasoning or rationalization, but I don't think he really is necessarily. He's talked about like the royal family and stuff, just all this stuff. So anyways, that's just a side note. But I saw this guy's video today, and I'll probably put a link in the description here. And it reminded me of Satanic Panic, like police, like cop training videos about the symbols of far right black metal bands. Oh my God, And what really was odious about it is like this implication that you have to be a narc, and only like, it's like the insidious implication is that you can't listen, you'll have to pirate these bands if you even listen to them at all. And all these bands are so Nazi and all this shit because they have these symbols. And the first series of symbols, what bothered me is that Ensiferum uses some of these symbols. All sorts of Viking metal bands do. And like the Sun Wheel was one of them. But like obviously the Death's Head is a fascist symbol to some extent. The swastika, all that shit, right? And he does show those, but he's showing the Iron Cross too. And I've been over this over and over again, where fucking Motorhead albums have Iron Crosses on it. All sorts of band, skateboard company, I forgot which one it was. Independent has an Iron Cross. There's also it's like this sensationalist, like woke, like metal guy, like Metal Cucks. Metal Sucks, right? The Metal Sucks site. I call them Metal Cucks, and it sounds like on some right-wing bullshit, but it's just the truth. And it's like the lack of nuance with some of these videos and some of these people is just so fucking abrasively annoying that I thought I'd call it out in this video. Because for one, of course there's not, bands that are Nazis and outright Nazis, but then you have this gray area, and that's really where this guy kind of doesn't really have an answer for this gray area. Okay, like Samoth. I saw Samoth where he was like doing the Nazi salute in front of a Nazi flag once. There's a picture. I think it's in Lords of Chaos. Look it up. I've heard Hellhammer of Mayhem say all sorts of racist and homophobic shit. I've seen, it's just like, where do you draw the line is my question. It's like, this guy's like, oh, here's some good anti-fascist black metal labels. I'm like, oh God, and woke black metal. Oh my God. I do not want to hear what that sounds like. It's probably like, it's like there's Christian rock and there's Christian metal and un-black metal, which is Christian black metal, if you believe it. I hate to hear what these fucking like anti-fascist black metal sounds like. It's the fucking most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Now, would you call them, as far as like death metal or grind, would you call Napalm Death anti-fascist? Well, they're just Napalm Death, but they happen to be anti-fascist. It's like kind of like the Christian thing. It's like, well, Trouble weren't like identified or tagged as a Christian metal band, but they're Christian metal because they're Christians, or they were, or whatever. But they smoked a lot of pot too. Rest in peace, Eric Wagner. But it's like, I hate to hear these bands, and this guy just goes off on this fucking soy-filled rant, about fascism and black metal, and how you can weed it out, and you keep your radar for it and all this stuff. It's like, dude, for one. So this is my problem with it, and I think this is kind of controversial. So it's your right to not listen to outright Nazi black metal, right? But to micromanage and analyze every connection, every tangential connection, like this guy does in this video, for every band you listen to, it's fucking outrageous. Like he talks about Deathspell Omega, he has a side project with this guy who's a Nazi or knows a Nazi, blah, 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 blah. It's so fucking stupid and dumb. And it's like, dude, can't you spend your time, like, first of all, like, I'm going to say this flat out, and this is a very controversial statement. This is basically the root of black metal and black metal's, like, ideology in a certain way. 19th century romanticism is at the core of the black metal ethos. You know, individuality, nature, social Darwinism with some of it. You know, Nietzsche, fucking Wagner, all these things. These just examples. There's like philosophers and all this stuff, and it's just like that is the black metal thing. But who else was influenced by some of that stuff? Like Nietzsche. I don't fucking know. Correct me if you need to. Whatever. I think it's from an Anton LaVey video where I say it, Nietzsche. But anyways, who else was influenced by this stuff? Well, guess who? The Nazis. Richard Wagner, fucking Nietzsche's sister, were whatever relative was friendly with the Nazis, and they, a lot of their stuff. The occult, Nazis in the occult. So of course, if you have a metal subgenre and a subculture that is influenced by romanticism, those two things will cross pretty fucking well. And I don't think people really understand the core roots of that. And I'm not obviously I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not a fucking fascist or social Darwinist, even though sometimes, I just start thinking about shit, and metal is very misanthropic at times, so like this idealism within this whole thing, like the Viking stuff, the runes, Under the Runes, like Bathory got in trouble for that, because it sounded like this, because they had these runes in fucking Nazi Germany or something, all these things. I mean, it's just like, okay, dude, just calm the fuck down. First of all, I commented on the channel and I said, this is kind of a really fucked up statement, but it's the truth. My tax dollars go to drone bombing brown children in other countries. Why would I give a fuck if some guy that makes music doesn't want them around? Because, it's bad enough that my fucking money goes to that. I don't give a fuck. I'll listen to Burzum. I'm not a big fan of Burzum. I was like 4 or 5 years ago. Like I was listening. I like his ambient stuff probably the best. And for some reason, I'm not a huge fan. I always was turned off by the vocals, and I kind of got used to it. And I do value like what was the last one before he went to jail or whatever. I do like a lot of the Burzum stuff now, but it's like, this guy is just this guy that made this video is just such an idiot. And just the way that he did this video, it just makes me think of this self-righteous Christian, like fundamentalist, satanic panic era kind of person, where you have to police every thought, police everything you look at or read or listen to or investigate. It's like, it's exactly the same mentality. I'll just say right now, a lot of the left is basically acting like Christians did in the 80s towards things, like lumping all this shit together. I'm just saying, like, some of it, like an Iron Cross, for fuck's sake. I have a shirt that has iron crosses and dragons. Where did I buy it? JCPenney in 2007 or 8. What the fuck is wrong with these people? I just, it's fine. I mean, this is a sure sign that someone is a neo-Nazi black metal band. And I have an Enciferum shirt that has like 3 of those symbols. Enciferum is like pretty fucking like mainstream for metal. I think aren't they on Century Media or something? This is a newer Enciferum shirt. I don't listen to them that much. anymore. But like, I mean, I like them, but I just haven't listened. I listen to Heat most of the time because I'm obsessed with them. But you know, my Heat patch that I'm gonna probably put on pretty soon. I'm obsessed. Okay, that's what I listen to a lot of the time nowadays. Of course, I put in like I do put on other stuff, like I put in Nine Inch Nails today in my car and stuff. But like the whole fucking notion that like you have to like look at all these symbols, you got to investigate and make sure you're not listening to a Nazi black metal band. I mean, there's outright Nazi black metal bands that if you listen, I mean, obviously if you know about it, it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Yeah, I don't want to support that, right? It's like there's that, but then there's all this other stuff that's in the gray area. What if a guy was a drummer and he did a session for some Nazi band, but then he did like a jazz band, like Hellhammer was kind of did some weird stuff to himself. I don't think he was in like any kind of Nazi band himself, but he's played with some really like progressive kind of bands. These guys aren't not Nazi or something. I think he said kind of some black drummer was like one of his favorite drummers too, more recently. But obviously he used to be racist. But it's like the video acts like you have to like outright like say, I'm no longer a racist. So I'm just doing my penance. I repent. It's like the way that these people act is so fucking smug. Okay. And, I don't listen to, a lot of black, I'm not a big black metal fan. Like I like a lot of it, but it's like a lot of these like not so-called Nazi bands usually don't really do it for me anyways. Like just like, there is one band I won't mention that's not black metal that I do actually like, sort of, I'll admit it, that's associated with some of that scene. I'll admit it. And some of these people, but what do you expect? You have, I don't think I'm not going to start listening to like, it's like, if you go so woke, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like these Christians in the 80s were like, yeah, I only listen to Christian metal. I can't listen to metal unless it's instrumental. I knew this girl, like this, like relative or something. I forgot who the fuck it was, but it was a cousin. I'm sorry. I was about to say cousin, and she said, "Oh, I don't listen to Slayer. I'll listen to instrumental versions." It's like, what? Where'd you get that from? But anyways, this is a long time ago. I don't remember what the hell happened, but like people. It's like they were scared to listen to satanic stuff and had avoided and just like weed it out and like all this stuff. It's like, and any mention of anything is wrong or any association with anything. It's like, it's the same fucking mentality. And it's not like, I mean, it's like, it's just so dumb. It's really annoying. Like this woke, like fucking metalhead thing. It's so annoying, And it's not like I want to like support like the big, I saw Nocturnal Mortem got really fucking, they had some posts on Facebook like about the Ukraine thing. Like, of course people are going to support that now. But, ooh, because I don't know. Actually, that's one of the bands that I actually sort of like that's been associated with that scene in the past. But of course, this guy who probably supports the current thing. Oh well, that's okay because we're supporting Ukraine. So even though they used to be Nazis, I'm sure they'll make some mental gymnastics about Nocturnal Mortem or some fucking shit, right? But the guy is just this guy seems like an idiot as far as like his take on this. Like, I just think it's really dumb, and I don't know what the correct take is. Like, I'm not trying to say like there's a correct take on NSBM or adjacent. That's another millennial Z woke word. Adjacent. My ex-girlfriend said it a lot, so I make fun of it. She thought I was Nazi adjacent or alt-right because I wore a fucking Thor's hammer. Okay, this is the that kind of video is kind of like that. Like, oh my God, they use an iron cross. Didn't Marduk use that in some of their imagery? It's like, dude, come fuck on, all right? It's like, you can make a statement. All right, I'm not going to support any outright Nazis in black metal. Fine, okay? Have at it, Haas, That's cool. That's fine. I respect that. I'm not going to buy Burzum's albums.